Hello. Welcome to this exciting section of Geoinfo Academy Live on Twitter, X Spaces. So please, if you can hear me loud and clear, drop an emoji in the comments so that we can make this virtual room buzzing before we dive in. Drop your emoji in the comments. Drop your emoji in the comments before we dive in. My name is Rachel Ayeni, and I will be the anchor for today's event. So today's conversation is one I'm personally thrilled about. We're talking about how code and maps are no longer living in separate worlds, but are teaming together to create smarter, faster, and more powerful geospatial solutions. So before we start the session, I'll be introducing speakers. So our theme for today is From Code to Map, Enhancing Collaboration Between Developers and GIS Professionals. So whether you're a developer who thinks GIS is just another acronym, or you're a GIS pro who thinks backend is something you get from just sitting around, today's session will actually bridge that gap and give us more insight. So by the end of this conversation, you'll see how two worlds can actually work together to build solutions that are not just functional, but game-changing. And at the end of this presentation, we'll also be taking our Q&A session. So please feel free to drop your comments below, drop your questions below in chat box. Whatever question you have will be addressed at the end of this session. So I'll go ahead to introduce our speakers for today. We have an incredible lineup of speakers who actually live and breathe this collaboration we're talking about. So first, we'll be calling on Mr. Kingsley Obika. Mr. Kingsley is a business development manager for Geoinfo. He'll be telling us more about Geoinfo and our services. We have Mr. Ebenezer Olubenga. Mr. Ebenezer is our host and is also the head of the GIS team. Mr. Ebenezer is the man who can turn raw location data into pure gold. So he is a GIS professional with extensive practical experience in developing GIS software solutions for mining, energy, agriculture, oil and gas industry. He's skilled in spatial analysis, 3D modeling, geodatabase management, cartography, map processing, database development, data quality assessment, and to list just a few. So we'll also be hearing from Mr. Michael Eziana. Mr. Michael is the back-end developer. He's a Python back-end engineer with more than 3 years of experience designing and deploying web applications. He's skilled in Django, REST, APIs, and database design. With proven success on shared hosting services, Azure and AWS, he has a strong background in geospatial data visualization, cloud hosting, and leading small development teams. Mr. Michael is a first-class graduate student of computer science from Lagos State University. Gentlemen, you're welcome, and thank you once again for joining us. So before we get into the heavy stuff, let us just have a little fun. So if your work was actually a type of food, what food would it be? So audience, please play along. Drop your answers in the comments. If your work was a type of food, if the job you do now was a type of food, what food would it be? Let's see if we can get some spicy jollof, some pasta, or some plain white rice. Okay. So we're waiting for the comments. So please type your comments in the comment section. Type your comments in the comment section. If my job was a food, it will be spicy jollof. I'm sure of that. So please type your comments in the comment section. Okay, thank you all for replying and sending in your comments. So now let's get into the agenda for today. So we're going to be starting the keynote presentation. Mr. Kingsley Obikai will be coming in and he's going to tell us what Geoinfo is all about. Mr. Kingsley, I'm sure you're with us. So please, the floor is yours. You can go ahead with your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing good. I'm excited to be here, and I hope everyone also is excited to be here because I look forward to an interactive session and a great learning environment. And I wish to, apart from doing the initial presentation here, I wish to learn a lot from my colleagues and those in the industry, and I hope you're doing the same. So straight to the chase, I want to introduce Geoinfo to everyone who's here. At Geoinfo Resources Limited, we provide advanced drone UAE services for inspection, surveying, and surveillance. And apart from the drone services, we also provide GIS solutions for data capture, analysis, and mapping, and expert land and hydrographic surveying. We also offer remote sensing, satellite processing, and a whole lot of other services. So on the GIS software development and geotechnical engineering and geology services, we also offer those kinds of services. So if you have any of such solutions you need us to offer to you, we are available to help you. We have worked with a good number of clients, and we are known for first-class quality services. We are also known for insights that satisfy and meet our client expectations. You know, we do a whole lot. We work across different industries, from agriculture, mining, construction, a whole lot of even oil and gas. We've done should I say it, surveillance, inspection, any kind of services that requires GIS and drone services. We offer such services, and we also boast a pool of experience and reliable team. We are just one call away, and within the week or the next week, we've done analysis and start the task for you. So we are here to help you provide quality services to your needs and help you solve your challenges. So thank you very much. Thank you for having me here, Ms. Rachel.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. We do appreciate your input. We do appreciate the detailed information about Geoinfo and what we do. So without further ado, we're going to be moving to the next session. Now we are going in proper into the next session. And this session will be delivered by our host and head of our GIS team, Mr. Ebenezer, who will be talking about the common pain points between GIS professionals and developers and the strategies for effective cross-disciplinary communication. So, Mr. Ebenezer, how are you doing today, sir?
Thank you, Rachel. I'm doing fine. How are you too?
I'm very well, thank you. So the floor is yours, so you can start with your presentation.
All right. All right, so I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Rachel, once again. I'm so glad to be here to share on our theme of today, from code to map, and looking at how we can enhance the collaboration between we, the GIS professionals, and then the developers. Okay. I believe you can see my screen. I do believe you can see my screen. Okay, so Before we go into the coding and everything, we'll talk about the evolution of GIS before the era of coding and all. So GIS used to be defined mostly by graphical interfaces like your ArcGIS, your QGIS, your GRASS, your Global Mapper, and the rest. So it's mainly operated by domain experts, but over the last decades or 2 decades, something remarkable happened, and coding became central to GIS. Even the software ArcGIS itself was built on Python programming. So we have the Python, we have JavaScript, and we have APIs and cloud computing, which are now woven into how we collect data, process data, analyze, and also share geographic data. So in other words, GIS is no longer just about making maps or making beautiful maps. It has transformed to now delivering geographic intelligence at speed and scale, emphasis on speed and scale, powered by automation and then integration. So in the early days, GIS followed a very linear process. So it goes from collecting spatial data, load it into your software, perform interactive analysis, and then you produce static map. What we mean by static maps are like your paper maps, your PDFs, and so on. But now most tasks were more manual. When you're digitizing features, running tools, you have to do a lot of clicking and all of that. But now, if you were to collaborate with any other expert within the field, it will mean that we are sharing shape files, sharing PDFs, through mails, and all of that. And it was really, really strenuous. Sometimes you may send a shape file and you've missed out on some extensions, meaning you have to resend it again, and it was really, really tedious. Now, this worked well for small static projects, but when we try to scale up to big projects, it becomes time-consuming, repetitive, and quite difficult to reproduce. This is back in the days. It's very, very tedious. If you have to digitize like the whole state of, let's say, Abuja or the whole state of Lagos, it would take days to actually complete. So moving forward to today, we can now work in automated loops. Repetitive processes can now be automated, and data can be fetched from APIs in real time, processed with Python scripts, analyzed using machine learning. Machine learning and AI now is something that is very, very rampant now that everybody's keen into. And we can instantly visualize as interactive web maps using JavaScript. Okay, and the outputs are more dynamic rather than static. So now we have, when you have a web map, you can easily scale the map. You can easily scale your project. So tasks that took hours can be automated and scheduled to run in minutes. Meaning we can build dashboards, real-time monitoring tools, and responsive geo applications. Now, what is this impact? What has this impact on GIS professional roles? Okay. Now, this evolution means that the profile of a GIS professional is also changing. So we are moving from map-making roles to becoming spatial developers or geo developers. So employers now expect skills like writing scripts to automate workflows, using GitHub for version controls, integrating GIS with databases and APIs. And at the same time, code-oriented developers are beginning to learn spatial thinking. The separation between GIS people and coders are beginning to narrow. So previously, it's more of can you create the map? Can you create a map? Can you do this project? Can you run this analysis? But these days now we have, if you can agree with me, that we have job opportunities coming out for GIS roles that requires you to have some level of programming skills, be it Python, be it JavaScript, be it REST, APIs, and the rest of them. So these days, the gap between the GIS analyst and the coders are beginning to narrow. Yeah, that bridge, there's a bridge between both of them these days now. Now, to summarize this session, the evolution of GIS in the era of coding is not about replacing traditional GIS skills, but rather extending them, okay? Use coding to unlock automation, collaboration, speed, scalability, which allows GIS work to, create more impact in our environment, in our society. And this takes us to the purpose of which we are here today, and how developers and GIS professionals working together can produce better solutions than, working alone. So our core of this webinar is to see how this collaboration has created, some impact within the GIS space. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ebenezer. That was really insightful and really engaging. I loved the part where you said geo developers. I was like, wow, okay. So you can be a GIS expert and also be a developer. So I like how you said machine learning and AI is coming into the GIS space and making work actually easier, making it faster, making complex tasks that will normally take days to complete to just a short period of time. That's very interesting to know. Thank you so much for your insight. At this time, we'll still be calling you back for one more session, but now we'll be going to the next session, the next segment of the presentation. So we'll be calling on Mr. Michael. So Mr. Michael will be introducing some key tools and also showing a live demo of simple GIS developer integration use cases to us. So Mr. Michael, are you there? And I hope the audience, I hope you are taking notes. I hope you are with your notepad, with your pen, take notes and ask questions, please.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you, Ms. Rachel, for introducing me. So, like she said, my name is Isiana Michael, and I'll be introducing some of the key tools that we developers use when we work with GIS professionals. So, first of all, let's look at the connection between development and GIS from a developer perspective. So from a developer's perspective now, we as developers would know the traditional front end and back end. In the back end, we're looking at creating APIs, working with databases, doing or carrying out some business logics here and there. And the front end, we're also looking at creating visuals that people will be able to see and also that is visually appealing. And when we add GIS into this, that's when it gets a bit tricky, or might I say. So yeah, we get to see how we can use spatial awareness, geoprocessing, and utilizing maps. And when we implement maps in this thing, it is going to, in a sense, redefine how we work on the back end, on the front end, and it's going to introduce new set of knowledge into our understanding, or add new knowledge into what we can understand. So let's now look at some of the similarities between GIS and programming. Data structures such as CSV and JSON file. If you're a developer and you've worked along with this kind of files before, you know what I'm talking about. CSV you can open with traditional things or applications like Microsoft Excel, and JSON formats, that's like traditional web API formats. And then we look at shapefile. Shapefile is like a CSV, but for GIS professionals that contains additional file of geometries. While we look at GeoJSON, it's basically a JSON format, but here it also contains geometry. So it's like adding geometry into CSVs, into JSON, and then you're able to get a new data structure entirely. Another one we look at is what we call queries. So we all know what SQL is, that is as developers do. And we're able to say that, okay, SQL is structured query language. We're able to structure or get some information out of the database and also manipulate the database. In addition to this is what we actually call PostGIS. PostGIS is an extension for that, and it actually gives GIS it gives PostgreSQL the ability to actually perform some of these partial queries. And when I look at APIs, we see REST APIs, there are map and geo APIs, and also libraries like pandas, matplotlib. There we can also see similar ones like GeoPandas, Helium, and these are all like the data structures and some as the collaboration between GIS. We see some of the similarities. So now let's go on to the key technologies that are actually fueling. So the first one I'm going to mention is Python programming languages. Why did I say Python programming language? It helps with automation, spatial data analysis, and machine learning. So this Python, like I said, or in the previous slide, showed matplotlib, pandas, but now we're using GeoPandas. GeoPandas is like a geographical version of pandas. It does similar to what pandas does, but it also adds that geographic touch to it. In JavaScript now, we're able to utilize libraries such as Leaflet and Mapbox, which we can use to integrate web mapping services to it. And when you utilize these two key technologies together, Python for the backend, JavaScript for the frontend, you're able to create a custom solution that for GIS professionals. And also, when you want to perform some other kind of data analysis, even if you don't want to create like a full-blown application, you can also use like Jupyter Notebook and use some Python scripts and run some of the commands there. And in APIs and software development kits, we're able to see REST APIs. We use REST APIs. We use JSON, GIS, like I explained earlier, and GDAL, which is one of the key technologies for programmers to actually communicate and also get more insight, especially in the form of conversions and others, now to speak to the geographical part of things. And cloud platforms also, like Google Earth Engine, AWS, and ArcGIS Online. This provides us with the service that we need to actually work hand in hand with the GIS professionals. So let's also dive into practical roles in GIS. So why do GIS professionals also need to collaborate with programmers? One of the key things is automation. When you're working with GIS involves a lot of files, and sometimes this can be very, very time consuming. One of the things programmers aid in that is through automation, through batch processing of files, scheduling scripts. This is able to fast track it and ensure that the job is done faster and easier. File conversions also one of the key or one of the formerly key problems of GIS. That is the variety of file formats that can exist in. But these days we can easily just convert them. And one of the things that even assists with is when building a web-based application, you can use shapefile to convert to GeoJSON, raster you can convert to a PhD, and it gives you that edge on understanding and also utilizing and working with these files. We're also able to do some custom analysis like slope, contour, area, buffering, clustering, some kinds of analysis like this. And we can also look at some of the integrations like the web map, apps, linking APIs, and so on. So let's focus on one of them now, which is Python programming language. So as I was introduced as a Python backend developer, I use Django, but alongside Django, I'm also familiar with these libraries. So with these libraries, as a programmer, you can even become a GIS analyst. GeoPandas, when working with vector data, that is the shape files. Raster, you when working with raster images. Shapely, when you're working with both of them. Fiona, PyProGIS, Skitlearn for machine learning, and Folium for interactive web maps. In all of this, we're able to see how programming actually comes in GIS, and how it can actually help or work alongside with the developer or with the GIS tools that they are also used to. And how we can also use this to speed up the case, which is something that helps and collaborates, helps the developer and that kind of collaboration. And there's a sample code snippet here. So just like if you're familiar with pandas, this is import GeoPandas as GeoPandas, then read file. Here you read the shape file, and you're able to even create a buffer from it. Then for the front-end part of things now is when we look at JavaScript. So keep libraries here, they're not so much. Leaflets, Mapbox, Talk.js. One of the ones that I personally am familiar with is Leaflets, and that's why the code snippet there is actually gotten from Leaflets. And you'll notice that we're able to design interactive maps with this client-sided spatial analysis, give the user a smooth experience, even put on different kind of tile layers on top of the map, interactive web maps, and all of this are able to work better. So let's talk about APIs and Cloud GIS. So when we talk about APIs, we're looking at REST API. Then we're also looking at the format in which this is going to be sent in, which is in GeoJSON format. Then also some of the PostGIS functions, that is an extension to PostgreSQL and JDAO. And we also have some of the online platforms that we can use. Google Earth Engine is one of the top platforms that is actually out there for those getting into geospatial programming. And we're able to utilize resources from AWS, ArcGIS Online, although I'll personally give you Google Earth Engine and ArcGIS Online if you're actually going to this field to help you a lot when working with this thing. Are you able to use the data, process it, send it to the API, to the front end of the app? You're able to scale this application so the users are even able to use something like this. So what are some of the practical use cases now? One of the practical use cases is this hydrological tool created with Python script for ArcGIS. So we can see the Python script here for the hydrological tool, and we can also see how it looks on the ArcGIS tool. And we're able to also perform some of the analysis here. And with this analysis, we're able to get like more knowledge, more insight, and we're able to assist the workflow and the tools by GIS professionals. So in addition to this, I will just include that as a developer, it's not always easy, just like you mentioned, working hand in hand with GIS professionals. But once you get used to these terms that these people use, that GIS professionals use, and we work hand in hand, we're able to solve problems that would be done in like 1 month, in few weeks, even 2 weeks or less. And it's something that can help with the automation and growing. So thank you very much for listening, and that's all for my part.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Michael. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Michael. It was a very nice presentation, quite insightful, if I must say. I liked the part that you mentioned that we need to start getting used to the terms. I saw that you used a lot of terms, Django, API, Python, scripting. Yeah, we're quite aware of Python, but there are so many terms that I think that we as GIS professionals also need to start getting used to. We need to read more on them. We need to study more on them and actually start using them, because just like you mentioned, it actually makes our work faster. It makes it more efficient. It makes us more productive. It was a very nice insight from Mr. Michael. But I actually have a question at this point, Mr. Michael. From your own perspective or from your own view, what do you think is the biggest challenge when it comes to integrating these developing tools like you mentioned into GIS? What do you think is the biggest challenge that GIS professionals encounter or have when trying to use all these tools, all these JavaScript, Python? What do you think is the biggest challenge they have integrating this into geospatial solutions. Mr. Michael.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So what would I say is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is actually what I'll say is the learning curve. You know, when you are going to a new programming language, for example, GIS professionals, they are not programmers. It's going to be like a new phase for them. And when getting used to these programming languages, seeing what these things can do, it might get a bit tricky, especially when dealing with libraries. For example, there can be about 3 different libraries that can do one certain thing, but you have to find the one that can do it best. And that's where things can get a bit tricky for them. So how do we now solve this kind of issue? That's why we see there's a collaboration between GIS professionals and programmers. Programmers have the sense, or should I say the knowledge of how do you know what tool is best to use, which ones are depreciated, which ones are currently even being built up, and how can you keep up with the development tools. That's why you see in some of these websites, we even see development dev documentations, developer documentations, and we also ensure to follow up with these things. So this also gives us better insight and understanding in it. And for GIS, the GIS folk or GIS analysts, we're able to work with them by showing them that, okay, this is the library, or this is the best one to use, this is how to use it. We ourselves also do some certain kind of learning, because we also have to know what the GIS analyst wants to achieve, what's the results that he wants to get. So it's going to be on a learning curve from both sides, and from that we're able to work together effectively.
Thank you so much for that answer. I think that's actually summed up everything that I needed to know. Thank you so much for that answer. It was a really insightful and engaging session. So just a quick audience engagement challenge. I just want to know, what side are you on? Are you team code or are you team map? Are you team code or are you team map? If you are team code, just drop a heart emoji. If you are team code, drop a heart emoji in the comment section. And if you are team map, just drop any emoji you like on the comment section. So let's all just get this virtual room lively and up. So please also remember to drop your questions in the, I think I can see one question already from one of the in the comment section. So we'll be taking down your questions and also be noting them down. Okay. So also in the comment section, I want you to name one app that you use daily that relies both on code and maps. I would say Google Maps is one of them. It actually relies on both code and maps. So let us see how many we can actually drop in the comment section. I can see some people dropping their heart emojis. So many heart emojis and so many fire emojis. I like the fire emoji. That's team map. Okay. So by the end of the session, I'll also be sharing a link to our WhatsApp channel. That's our WhatsApp group where we post regular updates, and also we share information concerning what is happening, the new technologies that are coming up in the GIS space, in the drone space, in the development space. So please, link is being dropped in the comment section. Please follow and join our WhatsApp platform. So before we take our Q&A, we're going to go to the next segment of this presentation, and we'll have Mr. Ebenezer come back for this session. So Mr. Ebenezer will be taking us on the real-world examples of successful GIS developers projects, and the lessons that have been learned and the recommendations that that will also be given. So Mr. Ebenezer, you're going to be coming up back to give us this presentation of successful GIS developers projects. So Mr. Ebenezer, are you there?
Yes, Rachel, I'm here.
Okay, so the floor is yours. You give us the real-world examples of these successful stories that projects that we can actually learn lessons from, and also your recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll present my screen. So I have few of an examples to share with us of actually done. Okay. All right, so some of the use cases that we've actually worked on is we worked on something regarding urban planning where the GIS team and the developers worked together to create land use maps, which is used for monitoring urban expansion as well as deforestation and so many use cases like that land use can be used for. You can use that to monitor for past years and as well as for subsequent years as well. And in turn, we can also use that to also work for environmental monitoring. So we created an web app using the Google Earth engine, which also uses the JavaScript language now. So we're able to use that also to create web app. So here we have an example of the web app on the right, and you can select the particular state you're also interested in. For example, here we selected Abuja for the year 2016 and the year 2022. So we're able to use that Google Earth engine to create this dynamic app, okay? So it combines because Google Earth engine has a lot of data to work with, okay? A lot of data to work with. And the one we picked for this project is the Landsat imagery. And then we combine that with our machine learning algorithm using the JavaScript to then classify the land, basically all the land in Nigeria, into water, vegetation, rangeland, built-up, and then bare land or rocks. And then that will produce, whenever you select any of the states, it produces a table that tells us the area that is occupied in square kilometer and as well the percentage occupied. So with this, you can compare and know, okay, is there an increase in the urban or in the built-up areas, or is there a decrease in the vegetation? If this, gives an insight, are we having desert encroachment or deforestation is more than, afforestation? And we can look at the effect on the climate and, so many use cases like that. So this app provide all these valuable insights, okay, as regards even environmental monitoring, like I've mentioned. So it supports decision makers, researchers, and as well as general public in understanding Nigeria's changing landscape and promotes evidence-based planning, okay, for sustainable development. Another use case that we're currently working on is this taxation monitoring dashboard, which Michael has mentioned, Leaflet and JavaScript. Okay, so as lightweight interactive web map. Data in ArcGIS shapefile, which was converted to a GeoJSON file, sent to the development team to create a dashboard and user interface. So we have all of these, the attribute data, the shapefile as well as the rent, the land rent, and all those information from the ArcGIS software, and then sent to the development team to work on that. So the data we used here is the building footprints, the parcels, and administrative boundaries as well, their attribute information to support transparent and efficient revenue monitoring. And as you can see, from the example we're giving here, this is for Wuse Ward, somewhere in Abuja here. You see the total properties, as well as the number of people that have paid, the unpaid, and as well as the revenue that has been generated as well. So now this is a project that demonstrates that there's a collaboration between the GIS analysts and developers, where we can combine spatial data processing with interactive web mapping to create a practical and user-friendly tool. So all these languages that we've mentioned are open source, except for the ArcGIS, which is proprietary. So these are open source where everyone can explore and, up their skills in to become a developer or become an expert in geo developing. So with this, this is actually a work in progress, which will actually finalize soon. This will help in tax administration, transparency, and data-driven decision making. So these are a few of the real-life use cases that we've done. Now, the key benefits of this collaboration is one, speed. So with this, the team can automate data pipelines and reduce manual work. We'll talk about scalability. Solution move beyond just desktop to web and mobile apps. So it moves from your static maps to scalable web apps and then mobile apps as well. Then we'll talk about visualization. Developers have also helped GIS professionals present data much more beautifully and interactively. You can just hover your cursor on a particular property and it tells you every information as regards to that property, when it was developed, when is the return date for that particular property, and so on and so forth. So it's versatile and it's very, very scalable. And we'll talk about efficiency with the use of APIs and scripting. This has helped to replace repetitive and manual processes. So things that, like the example that Michael gave for the hydrological modeling tool, normally we would have actually start our field process to our flow direction to our flow accumulation and all of that. And if we were to do that for like 5 or 10 or 20 projects, it's going to be very, very time consuming. So with this tool, we can actually just impute the DEM and it does we just impute all the parameters that we need and it does all of that in a short period of time. Very, very fast and very, very effective. So we don't have to start doing that for 5 or 10 or 20 projects that we have in our pipeline. And then developers have also helped, in the UI UX experience to make GIS tool more usable and more non-technical, user-friendly. Okay, so you can see all the codes that Michael was displaying, and then you can see how it's simply displayed in the ArcGIS toolbox. Very easy and very user-friendly. Now, what each side brings to the table, what the developers and the GIS professional bring to the table. The GIS professionals, we understand the spatial data, the quality, projection system, remote sensing and analytical tools like the ArcGIS, QGIS, and as well as the Google Earth engine as well. Now, what the developers bring is the fluency in their coding, for the front end and the back end, user UI, the user interface and user experience, and they help us for automating some of our, repetitive processes and, application architecture as well. So when we blend these capabilities together, we get solutions that are not just technically strong, but spatially intelligent and also user-friendly. So these are what we've actually learned together as we've collaborated together. For me and Michael, we've actually worked together on some projects and, we make the data simple for them, the coders, the developers to actually use. And I myself, I'm also building myself in some programming language as well, so that when he's also interacting with me, I can also understand, okay, the view or perspective is also coming from. So these are things that I've actually learned from each other. And you can see when Michael was presenting, he was talking about vector data, raster data, and you by a backend developer. So that's how we've actually interwoven with each other. So what is the future of this interdisciplinary? So the most innovative geo apps system or drone mapping platform, all these are built by blended teams of GIS experts, designers, and software engineers or developers. And it's not just a trend now, it's the new norm, it's the new normal. And embracing it now puts us ahead, puts your team also ahead. So, as an organization, you should also push that your team collaborates with your developers and the GIS experts as well. So basically, these all we've learned from each other. Thank you, Rachel.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ebenezer. I was following through, and I actually have a personal question that I would like to ask, even before we go into because I see there are a few questions in the comment section, so I'll be taking some of those questions. But before we do so, I want the audience to also engage in this as well. As a GIS professional, just mention one programming language that you think is important for you to learn, or that you're actually learning at the moment, be it R, be it Python, JavaScript. Just mention in the comment section just before we go into the questions, because we have a few questions for you, Mr. Ebenezer. So one of the questions, before I put my own personal question, one of the questions is that, okay, it said, aside ArcGIS Pro that have been illustrated, can QGIS versions read Python scripts for automation? So I'll take the question again. Aside ArcGIS Pro that has been illustrated, can any QGIS version read Python scripts for automation? So, Mr. Ebenezer, can you give us an answer to that before Mr. Michael would also give his answer?
Absolutely. QGIS as well, which is an open source software, can also read Python script. Okay. Yes, the workflow or the methodology might be a bit different, but yes, you can actually work with your Python script in QGIS. So aside your ArcGIS, you can actually build Python scripts for QGIS. You can also build what is called plugins in QGIS, which, if you're working or interacting with QGIS, most of us are interacting with QGIS, work with all these plugins to download data from all those are built with Python and APIs as well. It's built with Python and APIs. So absolutely, you can script your Python and use it as well in QGIS.
Okay, so thank you for that answer. So let me ask my personal question before I hand over the floor to Mr. Michael to also share his contribution. So what is the best programming language to learn as a GIS professional? Okay, say I'm trying to learn a new programming language. Should I go for JavaScript? Should I go for Python? Should I go for R? What do you think is the best programming language for me to learn as a GIS professional?
All right, the best, I would say, anyway, all of them are best, but, for simplicity, I would say you should go for Python first. When you've learned Python and the functions and everything, you can then graduate to learn JavaScript. Okay, when you learn JavaScript, you can then expand and still go on to learn, the rest of them like leaflet and the rest, and but Python is the basic, very easy to learn. When I started, I also started with Python. It's very easy to understand as a beginner. But then from there, you can then move to JavaScript and then other programming language to advance.
Okay. So I think I'll start learning and I'll start taking lessons from you as well. So let's go to Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael, please, we'll also need your contribution in this question. So it says that aside ArcGIS Pro that have been illustrated, can any QGIS version read Python scripts for automation? We just want to hear your view and your contribution as well, Mr. Michael.
Okay, yes, just like Mr. Ebenezer had said, there are actually the Python QGIS can actually read Python script and have some level of automations. Although there is some things to keep in mind. And what was that? There are some of these libraries, like QGIS is open source, so most of its libraries, or let's say people can contribute to it. But when you look at ArcGIS, there are some languages that are actually embedded in the system. For example, ArcPy library. You can only use that once you have ArcGIS installed in your system. If you don't have ArcGIS installed, you cannot use pip to install it. So as long as they are also separated, Python programming language is actually versatile and used in both cases, although some might be different because of ArcGIS Pro is more closed source, while QGIS is open source.
Thank you so much for your contribution as well. That's also very interesting to know. So there's a question for you, Mr. Michael, before you go. It says that this is from YINA. It says, Mr. Michael, how long did it take you to learn a programming language? How long did it take you? They're forgetting the fact that Mr. Michael is a first-class graduate. He's a first-class graduate of computer science. So, Mr. Michael, please answer the question. How long did it take you to learn programming language?
Okay, so to learn a programming language actually varies from people to people. There are some that they pick it up within a month. There are some that they pick it up within 6 months. Some, it even takes them up to a year. So the major thing is that you understand the logic, the principles behind it. Once you're able to work on that, understand the logic and principles behind it, how they work, even with ordinary English language. Python is one of the closest languages to English. I will say it in that way. So even if the programming language is something that you can just speak, and ordinarily with that, you can start getting the concept, understand the syntax, the semantics, and you're able to go. There are a lot of boot camps and all out there, but it's going to depend on you as a person. You as a person, if you're someone that is coming from a logical background, programming background, it can take you within 2 months, you can learn the language and start moving on to other complex things. But if you are someone that is just coming in new, you have almost no knowledge, it might take you quite some more time.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that answer. I hope people that ask these questions, hope they are taking down and noting all of these answers that is being shared by our speakers. So we have another question. Okay, said please, I would like to request, yes, the contact and the contacts of each speaker will also be shared, but that will be shared on our WhatsApp platform. So if you have not joined the WhatsApp platform, it's very imperative that you do so. The link will be shared in the comment section. So please click the link to join our WhatsApp community. There we share updates, we share information, and we're also going to be sharing the contacts of each of the speakers as well, so that you can, if you have other questions and need mentorship as well, they are very much available to help as well. We're also going to be sharing their Twitter and their socials also, so that you can follow them with any other follow-up questions that you have. So we have another question. I think I'll throw this to Mr. Ebenezer. It said, can we get an open source GIS application that we can use? So Mr. Ebenezer, if you're there, can we get an open source GIS application that can be used.
Yes, an example is the QGIS that we've mentioned. QGIS is open source and it's very user friendly as well. QGIS is one of the open source software you can actually use. And Grass is also an open source, but it will take you a while to get used to the environment. But I would recommend QGIS, Quantum GIS, as the open source software you can use.
All right, thank you so much for that answer. So, so another open source software, the Grass. Okay, if you can hear me, I do apologize for that sudden break in transmission. Thank you so much for joining in today's session. That's actually been an insightful one. We've seen real-world examples of successful GIS developers projects. We've learned lessons, we've seen recommendations, we've asked our questions, and just like I said, this slide will also be shared on our WhatsApp platform. The slides will be shared on our WhatsApp platform. One of the key takeaways for me is when we see the things that GIS professionals are bringing in and the things that developers are also bringing in to collaborate. So in GIS, we see spatial reasoning, we see data accuracy, we see remote sensing and analysis. And also from the developers' end, we are seeing their programming skills, we see database design, we see back-end integration and automation. When you bring all of this together, this can help us create smarter solutions, smarter information, help decision-making, and even enhance total productivity when it comes to both sides. Yes, we are going to be sharing the slides as many of you have been asking in the comment section. We'll be sharing the slides on our WhatsApp platform. Also, the contacts and the socials of each of the speaker will also be shared on the WhatsApp platform. So if you have not joined our WhatsApp platform, just click the link to join. I think the link has been posted. So please click the link to join the WhatsApp platform. You can just copy the link to join our WhatsApp platform as well. Okay, so we'll be moving into the end of this section. But before we do that, what a session it has been. We have seen how code meets math and how the magic happens to actually rewrite our real world problems. A huge thank you to our speakers, Mr. Kingsley, Mr. Ebenezer Ulubenga, Mr. Michael Eziana, and a huge thank you to everyone who tuned in, who commented, who made this conversation richer. We would like to use this opportunity to also announce our upcoming training. We have an upcoming GIS drone piloting training, AutoCAD training as well that is coming up. So all of these trainings are actually coming up next month, no, rather this month on the 25th. That's when these trainings are this month on the 25th. So we have the drone pilot training that is coming up starting on the 25th of September. We have the GIS training that is coming up also starting 25th of September. We also have the AutoCAD and the differential GPS GNSS training coming up. If you want to be part of this training, if you're looking to gain skills in drone piloting, if you're looking to gain skills in GIS or AutoCAD for land surveying and differential GPS or GNSS, then we are inviting you. Our doors are wide open. Come in, make your inquiries. Classes are starting soon. So, and we would not want you to miss out in that opportunity. So like I mentioned earlier, we have the drone piloting class. We have the GIS class. We also have the AutoCAD for land surveying and differential GPS/GNSS class. So those are the trainings that we have coming up soonest. We want to thank you once again for joining into this conversation. If you found today's discussion valuable, please follow Geoinfo Academy on X. So if you have not followed us, please just go back to your Twitter, just go and follow us. Click on that follow button, follow. And also, you'll be getting notifications from us for further webinars that are coming up, trainings and updates, the things that are happening in the geospatial space, as well as information and opportunities which will be shared. So if you have not followed us on X, please follow us. This is an opportunity for you to follow us on X, so that you can get further information on events like this. So thank you so much for joining into this session. Once again, I want to say a big thank you to the organizers, to our hosts, a big thank you to Geoinfo Tech Resources Limited, a big thank you to the speakers, and also to the wonderful audience that joined in today's live session. So until next time, keep coding, keep mapping, and keep making the world smarter. So I remain Rachel, and thank you, and see you soon.